Just last week, Immortals of Aveum was announced. A new single-player FPS magic, yes, magic first-person shooter. It's going to be single-player focused. It's going to be carefully crafted from a lore-rich world where you use magic instead of guns. I did a reaction on the channel over a week ago, and today we had a bunch of information drop in the form of gameplay. You can see what is going on, and that gameplay will be accompanying the video as we talk about Immortals of Aveum and actually explain what this game is about now that we actually have gameplay. To give you a little background on Avalanche Studios, for a long while, a lot of the members that were a part of other development studios, there's people behind Call of Duty, Halo, BioShock here, and Brett Robbins, the studio lead, was the original creative director on Dead Space, or one of them. And this means they have a history of FPS at the studio. And the idea of the game came about when they said, why are we always doing these military style shooters? What if we turned helicopters into dragons and we turned the guns into magical spells and abilities? And that's where the idea for Immortals of Aveum was born. So let's talk about what it actually is. It's a first-person magical shooter, FPMS for short if you really want to go down that route. You take your traditional shooter tropes and swap them out for spells and magics, as I've just said. You know, helicopters for dragons, shotguns for grenades, snipers for long-range spells. In this game, everybody is a battle mage, meaning it's straight up magic on magic fights. Think of Call of Duty, but with magic instead. You will play as Jack, a member of the Order of Immortals, fighting in something called the Ever War, which boils down to two factions, as we always see, fighting over ley lines, which essentially is the full magical control of the world. The Rashan, who in this case would be the bad guys, and the Magnus, who are the light, are going up against one another. You will have to find relics, uncover mysteries to help fight back, and Jack is a Triarch, which allows them to wield all three colors of magic. We'll talk about more of those in a second. In this case, it is green, blue, and red. And the Immortals are, quote, the Navy SEALs of the wizarding world in this instance, says Robbins, one of the creative leads. You will, in fact, go up against constructs, elementals, archons, as well as other battle mages. So that's what the game is. Now we know what the game is, let's talk about some of its finer details. Briefly, let's talk about the magic, as we do have trailer footage to back this stuff up. There is blue, red, and green. Blue magic is a strong focus on manipulation of matter, firing precise shots, forming shields and defensive walls, plus also manipulating gravity, which allows a Magnus to grapple, push, pull objects as they need to. There's multiple times in the gameplay trailer where the character is holding up a blue shield, and this is going to be able to block magical attacks, of course. There is also multiple times where there's a cube that spawns from the player's right hand, and that obviously has something. Because there's no UI elements, it's hard to distinguish what is actually going on from just a wild waving of hands. That's the annoying part about not having a UI. Maybe it's not finalized yet, so that's why they're not showing it off. But we do also get to see an example of the grapple in place when the character is moving around the arena, so it seems that they've got movement in mind there. Red magic focus on close quarters magic, like a shotgun, which is beams, explosions, and is kind of the embodiment of violence and entropy. The magic will be high damage and will go in, close range vicinity for most of its scenarios. We get to see this. There was a few enemies that they fight in the gameplay trailer that have red shields, and it feels like there's going to be different shields, the green, blue, and also red, which means that you're going to have a lot of different varieties of gameplay, kind of how you would break shields in other games in the corresponding elements. So we do also get to see a good example of all of the different red abilities being used. I'll talk about a little bit more of what we saw in the gameplay trailer in just a moment. Green is the magic that focuses on a high rate of fire, homing projectiles that can also cast to heal and misdirect enemies. So we do get to see them use the green spell here and there throughout the gameplay. So to be able to heal themselves. They also can create illusions, and also they kind of play very much like your assault rifles, SMGs in a shooter. As I was editing this video, another piece of footage came up that I'm going to put on screen right now, and it shows off the actual UI of the game. So there's going to be a health bar that it is above enemies, and obviously there is going to be a lot to digest when it comes to the bottom part of the screen, which is the 4 spell slots, which I think is going to be what you will swap to. Maybe that bottom part is a super meter, which is in purple, and then there's a symbol right there. And then I believe the yellow bar is your health, because in the Twitter clip it talks about using a healing crystal to be able to pull yourself up to full health. So pretty interesting. It was only about a 4-second clip, but I just decided to screenshot it so I could put it into the video so we can actually see what the UI looks like. The way that you enhance all of these abilities, or magic in this instance, is in the form of gear and sigils alongside the talent tree. The gear that you have to upgrade and enhance will be 3 totems, 2 rings, and 1 bracer. Totems apply boosts such as movement abilities, rings will transform spells into grenade-like spells, and bracers for more defensive abilities. Sigils will give you stat buffs and boosts that will also transform how spells work, and you'll be able to cater them to your playstyle. If you can see on screen right now, this was a shot from the trailer where they have 3 sigils, 3 totems, and 2 rings and a bracer. So it means that you'll be able to use these, and we also get to see them go into a piece of the gear, and it has damage, speed, and capacity, which I'm guessing in this instance is how much that you'll be able to fire out, and it was called the Lucent Maelstrom. And it also is the difference in the names of the gear, because one is Storm Shards and the other is Maelstrom. You can also see on the left hand side of the screen we have Fury Mana, we have health, we have 2, I believe that is Blink Clips, armor, shield health, blue magic power, red magic power, and green magic power, health crystals and mana crystals, gold, blue essence, red essence, green essence, and then legendary essence, which I'm sure is going to be used to either upgrade your gear, because there is spots on the pieces of gear, little black spots, which means they could be upgraded. And then also there's different rarities of gear. As you can see, the bracer is purple and the others is either normal or purple or green, or like a turquoise like color. And in the top area of the screen we have the talents and the spells. Besides doing main missions, we do get to see in the gameplay an example of the other side content, which I think is in the game, where they have said that it will be secrets, puzzles, and hidden areas in stages of the game that you'll be able to go and visit, similar to Metroidvania style elements, meaning you can use new spells to unlock other areas of the game. On top of that, dungeons/hidden bosses are littered throughout the game in the form of shroud fanes, and these will have some of the best gear that you can get. We do get to see this. They fight a rather tall, large construct. It looks like, or it could be an elemental, and the way that they have accessed it in the game is by using a puzzle piece to line up to things. There'll be some puzzle elements going into a boss battle, and this looks like these could be fun if they're scattered throughout the game. You'll be able to jump into them, get some really good gear, get some spells potentially, or some upgrades for those spells, and then ultimately progress through the game. They have boasted that there will be apparently 25 spells in the game and 80 talents alongside all of the gear customization, which means there'll be a lot to play throughout the 25 hours of story. So we could be looking at maybe 35 hours depending on all of the other content, if you really care about how long your games are. But the interesting thing about this is throughout the gameplay we see, and throughout what you've got to see, there is a plethora of different spells being used. They get to combine them with breaking shields. There's also like a reload type animation where they use a cube. There are a few distinct spells which are like a rapid fire burst that are in green. There's also a wall that can be pushed up, which is going to be defensive, as well as the shield that's held out in front of them. And then on top of that, there is also the ability to use the like shotgun explosive style shots that you get to see. And the enemies will also be doing that as well. So it seems that there's going to be a variety in combat. But for me, I think this is a really cool looking game. It takes the genre and flips it on its head, putting something completely new into our hands. And it looks pretty damn far along, if I'm being honest. I know the game is going to be set to launch in July. I believe the release date is July 20th, 2023, so not too far away, like 2 months away. This game is really far along, and the other cool thing about this is it's another EA original, which means it's come from the publishing of EA, but the team behind it isn't EA involved. For example, another EA original is Wild Hearts, and that has done really well this year, and it seems like these games have been greenlit and been in development for quite some time because it looks beautiful. I like the gameplay. I'd like to see more of the UI and other aspects of the game. Of course, maybe we'll see something at the Summer Games Fest in like a month's time, but who really knows? Tell me what you think of Immortals of Aveum. I think it looks pretty awesome, and I'd love to know your comments and thoughts in the comment section. As always, if you're new here, please make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe if you're new, and turn on the notification bell as always. And this has been It's Jimbo. I'll see you guys next time.